Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, I'm absolutely wrecked.
Wrecked? Were you wrecked? How busy have you been over like the last 4 days of being wrecked? Just out of curiosity, just throwing a random 4 days or like 102 hours for some random numbers popping my mind out of there. Just how much sleep would you have gotten there?
102. You're on about some backyard ultra.
That's exactly what I'm on about. The world record was broken this week for backyard ultra down under in Australia. And the mad thing about world record, like when you hear about world records, you think about individual feet and different things like that. Like if someone does a world record doing like a 100-meter race or whatever it is, it's phenomenal. But to really get a world record in the backyard ultra, you need two people. Just to remind people what you need to do to win a backyard ultra, you need to do 6.7K loop on the hour every hour, and you need to be the last one standing to do one loop when you win. So one guy, Phil Gore down in Australia, did 102 laps, or 102 yards, they call it. So it's over 685 kilometers, a little over 4 days, no sleep to get there. And he had a big assist because like everyone else had dropped off by the 90th, I think it was a 90th lap or 90th yard. So one person, Sam Harvey, had to keep going with him to the 101K. And then as soon as 101 laps, 685 kilometers. And as soon as that last lap started, he started a little bit and went straight back and let your man run the finish. But over 4 days straight running.
So I'm curious, was everyone there to help him break the world record?
No, it was an event. It was like, as far as I know, it was their Masters event. Did a weird name for it, the Dead Cow or something like that.
That's why your man was just checking out at that point. He wasn't like, oh yeah, we broke the world record, I'll stop now.
No, I think they're like, so I think the world record before that was 101. Two Belgian lads did it last year. I think it was last year because I think it was near the start of the Ukrainian war. And they thought it'd be good as a duo to finish it and send out the right message and all the rest. So I read today. So they stopped 101. So your man, Sam Harvey, went with Phil Gore, who got the record this past week. He went with him for 101 yards. And then as that last lap started for the world record lap, just went, you're on your own. We've gone as far as we can go in this one. So they kept going just to beat the record. And your man had to do the last lap by himself to get there, to get to 102, win the race and get the record.
Well, it's fair play to the other guy.
Yeah, fair play to the assist to keep on going. No, you are. I don't know how it worked out. If he was always going to the assist or what way it works out, I don't know. I wish I had Darren the podcast to figure that part out. But like I don't know how you figure that out. I go, one of us is going to get a world record, the other person's going to be assist, or we just do the same thing at the same time, and neither person wins the race. It's a phenomenal thing. But it got me thinking, like, okay, I'm never going to run 4 days in my life. Not that I could, but like that's a phenomenal thing. But just if someone's listening, like going, oh, there's a hell of a challenge. I'm like, well, what could be like a really hard running or racing challenge in Ireland to do? So I thought of this 30 minutes before recording this podcast. So I said, I know what I'll do. I know what everyone's doing these days. I go on to ChatGPT and search the 10 hardest races in Ireland and see what it comes up with. But it was a bit sketchy. They didn't give a definitive list. They said, like straight away, they kind of went, well, I don't have access to real-time information or the ability to provide subjective opinions. I can offer you a list of challenging fitness races that have gained recognition for their difficulty. Here are 10 races that are known to be physically demanding and provide participants with significant tests of endurance. I will add to this that with ChatGPT, a lot of their stuff kind of ends after 2021. So one or two of these races might not actually be going on anymore. Because I know I did marathons and stuff, and I was like, you should do the rock and roll half marathon in Dublin. It's like, I think that's gone, pal. So without further ado, the top 10 races. And I don't think there's any particular order either. Gale Force West.
Oh, yeah, that is a tough race.
That was just on this past weekend. So it's 67 kilometers of trail running, cycling, kayaking, and mountain climbing, which sounds like a lot of fun. The Wicklow Round, which I had never heard before. It's an endurance challenge that involves completing the continuous circle of 26 peaks in the Wicklow Mountains, covering a distance of around 100 kilometers. I've heard of the Wicklow Way before, which is longer, but for some reason, ChatGPT reckons this is up there and the Wicklow Way is not. The race, a demanding multi-sport event held in Donegal. The race involves 250 kilometers of running, kayaking, cycling, and mountain hiking across challenging terrain, often in harsh weather conditions.
Yeah.
From 250 kilometers to number 4, hell and back. In fairness, if you were in wave 1 of hell and back and treated it as a race, that is tough. The sprint 13 can't do the events.
Stupid. That's a carnival. That's not a race.
Well, according to ChatGPT, I can't say that right, it tests strength, endurance, and mental resilience. But we'll move on. Irish coast to coast. This adventure race requires participants to navigate their way around Ireland from Dublin to the Atlantic coast in a one-day non-stop event covering a distance of 280 kilometres. The race includes cycling, mountain biking, running, and kayaking.
All right.
Probably a little bit harder than hell and back.
Sounds a bit silly. You could just cycle all the way.
True. Might have made a top 10 list there if it was just cycling all the way. Quest Killarney, which got the nod over Quest Glendalough. Must be a harder race. It says ranging from 27 to 83 kilometers. I didn't know it was 23. I thought it was 77 or something. But trail running, cycling, and kayaking as well. The Mourne 7-7s. The Mourne 7-7s, a mountain race set in the Mourne Mountains. The event involves summiting the 7 highest peaks in Northern Ireland with a limited time frame. That's probably the Seven Sisters now, is that? Or it could be a different race. Seven Sisters.
Like the Mourne.
I'm not a month familiar with Donegal.
But like the Mourne Mountains, are they not loud into Donegal? Is Glenties?
I did history for my leaving, so not geography.
Yeah, no, I think the Seven Sisters is Donegal. And maybe a bit more. Now, listen, I'm completely making it up. There's probably people listening here going,
like, idiots! Shouting at the thing. There's actually a Q&A thing on Spotify now for like questions and answers and different things or comments in the podcast. So if we're absolutely full of it, none of these races exist anymore, do let us know in the comments of real next week's episode of podcast.
Right.
Moving swiftly on, the Celtic Warrior.
You're still doing this list?
There's 3 left. In number 8, Celtic Warrior. It's a rugged Sleeve Bloom Mountains challenge, including trail running, mountain biking, and kayaking over 70 kilometers. Number 9, and here's where it gets messy. It just says Irish ultra running. Like, it just includes the Wicklow Way Ultra, Kerry Ultra, Connemara Ultra, all these ultras into like one. They couldn't pick between it. It's very indecisive, ChatGPT. I'm not too sure you should trust it. And last one, and you'd be proud of this one, Sea to Summit, based in Westport.
Hardest race. Unbelievable. Yeah, top one.
Top one. Of course you'd say that because you're one of the people I have not.
Yeah, well, like, you know that ChatGPT is only as good as the person putting in the information. So
top 10 challenging races in Ireland. Top 10 hardest fitness races in Ireland, and why? How can you mess up that question? Also, it is 2021, so backyard ultras were only introduced in the last year or two, by the way. Just put that out there in the Republic anyway, I think. So
yeah, hit the intro music, you bored.
Let's go. Speaking of hard physical challenges, how's your training going?
Well, I don't care that he did 101 hours. I'm really tired.
102.
Yeah, no, it's been going really well. But speaking of events, it was one thing I started to look at to do a couple of triathlons. Obviously, I've Lost Sheep booked, and then I'm gonna do. There's one in Wexford. I think it's Try the Hook or something. I think it's a sprint down there. So I signed up for that one just to get the exposure of being surrounded by people at a start line again. And then that'll get me into Lost Sheep then, which is a big hard one. But it has been a busy last 2 days anyway. Training with Lorcan for the last week. We were up at 7 o'clock every morning, out on the bikes, out running, out swimming, out doing everything. I am really bad at swimming. This is a fact. So if you follow me on Strava, you're gonna see a lot of swimming over the next 2 weeks in the pool before I end up back in the Athlone again for the lake.
What do you mean by bad at swimming? Has your fitness levels just dropped because you haven't been swimming that much, or just the technique is gone, or what's the story?
Technique. Yeah, it's all technique. Like no, obviously there's a fitness element to it, but like as in muscular endurance in the upper body and the shoulders and the lats and everything. So my left arm after a K just got tired. So every time I was looking up the spot, obviously my right arm was doing loads, my left arm was doing nothing. I kept turning left. I was like, for God's sake. It was like that rowboat, you always seem to just pull on one side a bit more. But yeah, so a hell of a lot of work needs to be done in the pool over the next little while. But yesterday I did a 5K max effort.
Okay.
And today I did an FTP test for the bike, because the idea is it's setting out my zones of where the train plans. So Connor is sending me on what I have to do, and he also sets the zones. And now he's giving me the zones now based on those 2 tests of where I need to be.
Are you getting zones then for times then based off this? So what way does that work for people listening?
Yeah. So we're going off times as well. But it should line up with heart rate as well. So because I was looking at the times required for my zone 2, and it goes all the way up to a 6:20. So it's definitely it's given me enough to work with in terms of pace over the next little while, that as the heart rate gets accustomed to it, I can reach that zone in terms of pace that I'm trying to be in.
So when you were doing like the 5K, you had to go for obviously flat out, but at the same time flat out over 5K, because you just did a kilometer or 2 and then just gassed up completely. It's going to be no use, or what way is that?
It's supposed to be a 20-minute test, but obviously I'm not as quick to do 5K in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it was a 5K 23-minute test, but it's basically just to see what pace you can hold consistently against. You're looking at your heart rate and what you can hold. So I could have went out at a 3:45 and then blown up after 2 minutes and then end up at a 5:36 minutes. The idea is, what can you consistently hold? So as you come through, so when I came through 2.5K and did it on the Greenway, I was like, oh boy. So you should be asking yourself, as the K clicks through, can I knock 5 seconds a kilometer off this? Can I knock 10 seconds a kilometer of this? All I could think of was like, can I hold this for another kilometer? So I knew I was at where I needed to be, because I wasn't going to die there and then, but I knew it was coming. And through 4K, heart rate 190, and I was like, just hold on. And that was, I don't know how many fights I had with myself in 4.5 minutes, but it was horrible. I hate running fast, but it's it wasn't good. But that was complete. Then this morning it was a FTP test on the bike, and it's a similar thing. It's a warm-up plus 20 minutes. What power can you have through 10 minutes? I did it on Zwift as well, and it even asks you, have you got another 10 watts? Now's the time to give it. And I nearly gave it the finger. I was like, will you ever? The fan was on full whack. Katie walked past, waved at me. I think I spat at her. So I was like, there was drool all over me. I was growling. It's just horrible.
Like Rocky around 14 here.
So bad. And then for the last minute, it's just all efforts, just try and boost it in a sprint. But it's I got it, like, having FTP now, which is a good base. It's good to know where you start. It's a good benchmark. But yeah, the training has really increased since the marathon. It's definitely sometimes 2 a day, definitely once a day. Anyway, there's something happening. So, but this week is going to be another bigger increase before we build up to our big event on the weekend. You
have a bench for running, you have a bench for cycling. Swimming, you sounded very nervous. We hit the intro music there. Is there a bench test for swimming? Is it just try and get a bit further? Or what way does the swimming go? Is it different to the bike and cycling cycling to run completely?
Well, like anything, yeah, of course there's a benchmark. There's a benchmark you can test, you can do for everything. But for me, my technique's that bad that there's no point. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I can't swim 20 minutes consistently at a decent pace in order to test myself. So for me, it's all about just building up miles now, just practicing technique, using the pull buoy in the pool, getting the paddles on the arms, just using the arms, building up the strength in the arms, using the kickboard just to get the legs work. It's all about. So there's a little thing Lorcan even gave me as well, because he was watching me as I was swimming. So it is nice to every so often have someone watching when you're swimming. When I was sighting, I was lifting my whole head out of the water, and he was like, will you just be more like a hippo? It made perfect sense that the eyes just come forward. Don't lift your mouth out. Just bring the eyes forward. Try and keep that profile.
Right.
And one thing that made a lot of sense to me, but it just needs me to have confidence, particularly in the open water, because it just feels weird, is to swim downhill. Does that make sense? No, you don't swim. But basically, because my head is slightly up, my shoulders slightly up, my bum is low. So by just making a conscious effort to bring my chin down and my head into the water as if I'm trying to swim downhill, it's actually raising my bum up, and I'm getting a little bit more efficiency on top of the water. And it's getting the head underneath, and I'm swimming a little bit more. But it's amazing when you're swimming over the K consistently, because you kind of get annoyed with your inefficiencies as you're swimming. You're like, I was opening my hand there, so I was concentrating on closing my hand a bit more. And so it is good to practice. So he brings me around, drops me off after a K. It's like leaving the kids off at school. Right, you stay there now, and then he goes off and does another lap on his own. So yeah, I'm going to aim to get 10 swims in before we go back down. I have 2 weeks to get 10 swims in and try and get 20K worth of swimming, because I just feel like I'm wasting the lake opportunities,
right?
Because I'm not good enough. And look, an Ironman's great, but if I don't get through the first hour and a half,
forget about it then.
Point. Yeah. So I know a lot of people say, don't worry about the swim. It's all about the bike. It's all about the run. You make up your most time on the bike, and it's right. But you have to get to the bike.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I just kind of have to work on in the next little while. Like I don't want to be out there all day. I don't want to be a 16-hour Ironman person.
If you die of death before getting on that bike, whatever strength you have on the bike are going to be immediately gone, because you're after using all your energy on getting through the swim. So you kind of need to be somewhat efficient and not die of death there. And
that's it. So that's what I'm going to work on over the next little while. And that's the efficiency game we're going to work on for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and see how we go. And it will come along. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be winning the swim by any stretch of the imagination. But as long as it's at a pace that's respectable, but comfortable, and I know I can do for 4K, and that's what we need to do. So we really do need to increase the miles. I know I can do a marathon. I know I can maybe do the cycle. Whether I can do the marathon after the cycle, different question. But I can do each of them individually. I don't know if I can do the swim right now individually, and that's something that has to be rectified quickly.
So working with your coach now, are you guys working together on, hey, we need to pull back in terms of, you've only got a certain amount of hours in the day. Are you working on, okay, those extra runs we planned, we have to pull back in that and the cycling, and would you get more of a endurance fitness by doing more swimming, and also get the head right in terms of, hey, this is my biggest weakness right now, I get more of that in? Or what way are you guys working on your training?
So the plan is the plan, except I'm adding in additional swims myself in the mornings. So it's because it's such low impact, but it's okay cardiovascularly. It's not huge effort. Like when I'm doing my extra swims, it's not max effort 100 meters. It's just get in and swim. Today it might be 200 meters and then take a little break, take a sip of water. Tomorrow it might be 500 meters and we do 4 sets of them. The idea is to just be in the water, get comfortable, keep the arms moving, develop the strength. But it'd be kind of like treating marathon training, except they're all easy swims. And then when I'm doing a prescribed swim, so tomorrow morning there's a prescribed swim, I think it's 10 by 100 meters at an RPE of 8 or something along those lines. Okay. So that's my swim and that's the program. But on Tuesday, I don't have a swim. So on Tuesday morning, I'm going to the pool, I'm getting in the pool and I'm just practicing nice and easy, watching how my hand is catching, making sure I'm using long straw, all these little things, swim downhill, because there's no pressure on me to remember what I'm doing. I just have to do and be and try and cover at least 2K in sets in the pool. And even one little thing, so like when I'm breathing and stuff, when the wall comes on the other side, I'm taking my little 5 seconds of and then going again. So this time when I get to the wall, I'm not allowed to take a breath. I have to keep my head under the water, turn under the water and push out the other side. So actually making it a little bit harder for myself. Because one thing you notice in the open water, it's just you don't get that break. Like, so I have to try and replicate that a bit. But look, it's something I really need to work on, and I have to put in the effort. I have to try and do it.
Does that mean are rest days out now, or is your rest day kind of going in practice swimming in the pool? And
for me, rest days are gonna be listen to the body.
Okay.
So, like, I don't have time for a rest day, if that makes sense.
Not that's I'm asking that from genuine reason, because of, like, you've got swim, bike, cycling, and you've got a lot going. And yes, some sessions are just not just technique, but they're not high in the exertion level. But at the same time, there's only so many hours a day to get these certain slots in, and you also got to prioritize sleep and stuff as well. I'm like, how do you fit all that in and take a day or two off on Thursday and Friday as well? I don't know how that's manageable. That's where I'm coming from, rather than, hey, you need to take a rest day. It's like, you obviously starve the body, but how do you do it?
Well, sleep is definitely something that's taken a forfeit, because in order to get all the extra swims in, I have to be in a nice pool at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's how I have to start my day, because there could be a cycle and run in a day. And if I want to do the extra swim in the morning, I have to go and float over in the pool and then get out of the pool and then go do whatever training session number 1 is.
Are you doing late sessions in the evenings?
Yeah. So, well, I'll try and get a lunchtime session in work when I'm in Baldonnel, but when I'm in Athlone, we don't finish till 10 o'clock at night. So then late sessions will happen in the evening then. So it has to be split. And this is where the 75-day challenge is coming in handy, because I was getting something in the morning, I was getting something in the evening. So it's not too new to me or wild, but the 12 hours in between is actually real beneficial between training sessions as well, because give me that little bit of respite.
I'm going to sound like a little, we'll say soft on this one, but I was noticing whenever I was doing late evening runs, I might have to do them again. I'd finish around 9, 9:30, get a bit of food in me, be about 10:30 or so, but I wouldn't sleep, or the heart rate would still be fairly high, like 60, 70, 80. And I'm up at 5 o'clock next morning and notice I'm only getting, while I'm on the bed for 7 hours or maybe 6.5 hours, I'm really only getting 5.5, 6 hours sleep, because it's taking ages to fall asleep and stuff like that. Is that one of those you're going to try and grind through, or what way are you looking at that? Or you easily just switch off with the heart rate down quicker, or is yoga come into play, or has that have you thought about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, as in, when I've done this before, even doing 2 a days or training late at night, staying in the aquatic centre till 9:30, 9:45, coming across eating, like, come 11 o'clock, like, I'm ready. I'm out for the count. My eyes will be closing, so I don't have an issue.
You just get used to it?
Yeah, I just literally, I'll be home as soon as I fill my belly and I'm showered. I'm like, oh, not bad. Like, there's no real transition to, I'm wired now. I'm like, nope, bedtime. So it's it's pretty good. It's like, I've a lot going on. Like, it's someone slagging me the other day and they were like, yeah, do you want to take on any more hobbies or anything? It was like, you have a full-time job, you're running your own business, you're winning awards, like, and also you're training for an Ironman. It's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty busy.
you're kept going, all right. And speaking of kept going and slightly switching gears, you talked about how you feel like you can do a marathon. Well, you did a marathon at the start of this month, and the swim's a big priority, but at the same time, you are doing the cycle distance this weekend. We're doing the Ring of Kerry coming up this Saturday.
So it's a good one. Now, again, for me, it's just time in the saddle. It's not about, I'm going to do this in 6 hours as a test run for the Ironman. Did
that cross your mind?
Not that at all. It did, yeah. It did cross my mind to just get out there, practice eating, drinking, probably draft
because
off.
the roads are open, like, so those that don't Ring Kerry, and the cycle, we'll get into more detail in a few minutes. They shut down the roads from 6 o'clock, and you pretty much from there to 8 o'clock in the evening to get it done. So, like, it is a fantastic opportunity to go, what am I made of here? Now, I say that personally, that never crossed my mind. I'm interested in taking more breaks this year than I did last year, if I'm honest with you, and just enjoying the scenery, enjoying the few breaks, and just keep on spinning the wheels, so to speak, and taking longer breaks, stuff like that. But I don't have an Ironman coming up. I don't have any cycling events coming up after this one. I just want to get through it. You're slightly different.
I suppose if I didn't do Mizzen to Malin last year, there would probably be more curiosity about what it feels like to be in the saddle for 160k at a decent pace. Now a lot of that was in a group. You're getting a good bit of draft, but you're cycling for 2.5 hours, taking a quick break, 2.5 hours quick break, or maybe a lunch break, a longer break, and then 2.5 hours. So had I not had that experience, I would probably be like, oh, do you know what? This is a good test run. But having done 5 days of that, I'm kind of like, no, I'm happy to just cruise around. And because part of it's with the experience, and like, I'm well aware when we do shift work and I'm away from home a good bit and I'm constantly out training, for me, like, Katie's coming down to do it as well. It's nice and Jimmy, Katie's dad's doing it with us. Sometimes it's nice just to be with people with no pressure, and just share an experience, because most of the time I'm on my own. Or well, obviously it's great with Lorcan and stuff, but when we're not on at the same time, it's just me, and and this is the thing about training at heart rate zones or training in zones. I can train with someone.
Yeah,
we're not going to match in zones, so you're better off training on your own. And this is the problem with it. So if I know I have to do a zone 4 cycle, Katie can't really come with me on that one. And that's where the Ring of Kerry is all about experience. It's all about just having fun. When we hit the hills, it's every person for themselves to the top.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Fine, yeah. Because you just need to get into your rhythm and close the door and just get up to the top of the hill. But when we're on the flats, cruising away, talking away, there's an ice cream shop. Let's get a quick 99 and keep going. And that's kind of the day I'm looking for. But even still, it's 12 hours, it's 11, 10 hours, whatever we're going to be in the saddle.
It's still no joke. It's still 175k, all right. And like you said, those hills, there's 2 big inclines on that at the roughly the halfway point, 85, 90, and then going up Miles Gap. Then after your second pit stop at the second official pit stop at the 140k, I think it's in Kenmare. I could be wrong on that. Some Kerry from experience. It is Kenmare, is it?
We've done it on the Mizzen's Malin,
and that's a hell of an incline as well. Where to your point, it's like no matter if you're going with people or not, you kind of just need to get the head down and go right. I'll see you at the top for the views, and you get up there where you can, because like even if you're trying to encourage someone along and they're really struggling, you're probably going to be told where to go, because it's not fun struggling up those hills. We just kind of have to keep down on the gears and grind and going from there. No matter how fit you are, that's still a bit of an incline, and you can always challenge yourself. You could challenge yourself by pushing that little bit harder up and just having that bit longer wait for everyone, the rest of us at the top.
Yeah, and look, that's the thing. Like, I'm not super cycle fit at the minute either. Like, so it's not going to be an easy day out for me at all. I haven't done the same work I did last year of cycling to work to and from every day before I did the business man. There was 2 or 3 months of a lot of cycling done there. But yeah, no, it's just it's going to be just enjoyable. But it's still 175 kilometers have to be pedaled. It's going to be done at a slower pace, but it's still 175 kilometers that have to be pedaled, so it's good. It's something to look forward to. And then there's a lot of joy in the shared experience, because then you get to post-mortem, and then you get to, what did you think of that? Do you remember when you did it? You don't get that when you're trucking away on your own.
No,
you don't get that kind of shared experience. And that's why I'm looking forward to it. But I believe before COVID, this event used to be a sellout.
Yeah, well, from what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong on this, it's probably the same reasons as people are giving out about Taylor Swift coming over the country and how dear it is for accommodation and stuff now, without getting too political and stuff like that. So I don't know if that is the reason, that's not the reason, but that's what I was hearing the last time I was down there. It's just got a lot more expensive to get accommodation for these kind of events. And as well as that, other events have popped up as well. There's a different cycle down there in Kerry, I'm not too sure what it's called, and there's one around Clare as well, and there's one recently, I think, of Wicklow. I could be wrong on that as well. But there's probably a lot more events coming up now, whereas before it was just Kerry. So rather than traveling all down there for the weekend, you probably have somewhere that a little bit closer to home to do these events now. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it was just after COVID. I don't know. That'd be my guess. Yeah. I could be wrong off now and that, but I reckon accommodation has a lot to do with it.
No, definitely it is. And especially as soon as an event is announced, it's game over for trying to get a room cheap.
And like I knew last year when this event finished what it's. I'm like I said, if anyone's listening from Kerry and they're like, "Oh, we don't put up hotel prices," maybe they don't, maybe they do. I don't know. But you would know as soon as you finish last year. Okay, it's going to be just before Independence Day weekend next year. I always think with the American calendar in my mind, but it's going to be on this date, this time again. So you would be able to plan around it. And maybe those that do have got their accommodation booked, and then for the last few rooms it goes up. I don't know. But I would assume that could be a reason. Yeah,
but it's and look, we're lucky. We've added on an extra 10k just for cheaper accommodation for ourselves. It's definitely worth it, because otherwise it's not worth it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
there is a certain value on things that make it worth it. For me, Quest has probably tipped the scales on the worth it versus not worth it. But you know, if we were paying anything more for the accommodation, now look, Kelly's mum and dad are going down in the camper van. We could have stayed in the camper. Had a great time, but you know, there is a certain element that the price. Now it is the ring. Like it's
It's a charity event as well. Like so, they are running that at the roads are closed for the. I mean, especially if you always wanted to do the Ring of Kerry, like there is no better time to do this event than now because all these roads are closed off. You don't have to worry about like I going up Malls Gap is one thing. Going up Malls Gap, all the traffic and stuff there. I don't know if I could do it to have that extra element to worry about. Getting to the top and seeing those views. I'm like, I'm not really that interested in it. And there are certain parts along the route you're like, no, with any cars coming around the corner and stuff here, I wouldn't want to do it. So I think that's the great thing with those events. And even I suppose a Quest with kind of, I don't know, the roads been kind of locked, but other parts as well, where they do have everything kind of closed off. It is nice to, like, we've had people in the podcast talking about running Cork, and they're like, you know, running their home area and getting to run through the Jack Links tunnel and stuff like that, where they're not worried about cars and stuff. It's probably the same experience for us running different parts of Dublin, you know, where that's the thing with those events is having the freedom, the freedom, exactly about worrying about that. Because you've talked before in the podcast being like, and you're definitely a lot more experienced like us between the two of us. I'm just an idiot. About being worried about traveling to work during, you know, school time, stuff like that, and being like, well, you know, near death experience here and there, and just cars being idiots taking those corners and stuff. Whereas I'm not smart enough to think about those things, which is a lot more terrifying. But on race days, you do get the opportunity to go through Kerry and just not have to worry about that kind of thing. And like you said, just take it in and enjoy it. So if anyone's ever wanted to cycle, like, and it's some of the best views in the country by far, especially if we get the weather, maybe not the weather this weekend, but the weather we have been getting over the last month or so. If we get close to that, maybe not as warm. I know I'm being very picky now with the weather gods here, but I'd like, you know, clear blue skies, not too warm, and just to enjoy the day and a few scoops afterwards.
The last time I cycled up Malls Gap, it was wind speeds of over 50 kilometers an hour, nearly 80 kilometers an hour, torrential rain. And when we got to the top of Malls Gap, you had to pedal down. So it wasn't like we freewheeled. I nearly got blown off my bike at the top of the hill. It was that strong. And you had to cycle downhill.
Oh my God.
So, do you know what? Anything less than that, I'll be happy.
Well, last year was cold now, but it was nothing like that. We did fly down the hill, so much so I was a scaredy cat going down hills. My hands on the brakes all the time, like no, down, slow down. But I think if you're doing the race, once you get past Malls Gap and you're at the top of the hill, it's 150 odd K, 125K to go. It is literally all downhill, and you could truly just enjoy the ride straight down back into Killarney. I'm trying to think of what little nuggets throughout the race I did last year. I think 56K hit, you go into one town and it's like a hell of an incline, but it doesn't last that long. And it's a couple of signs like, try and stay in the saddle. I'm like, nope. I'll try and get this up any way I can. I haven't got that kind of ego. I was like, I'm doing what I'm doing to get on top of this hill. And obviously there's different hills and stuff throughout. I never looked at the map, because I'm like, I don't know Kerry that well at all, so I don't know what's going to be challenging, not challenging. My biggest mistake was after 60K, because they have this big kind of tent and stuff where you just have as much food and stuff as you want. I assumed it was going to be there, and 60K, it's nearly 180K race. I assume the next stop's going to be around 120. So we came into some tiny town in Kerry around 120 mark. I'm like, the food stop is somewhere around here. It's not too far away. And as we're coming nearly out of town, your man was like trying to encourage us, like, go on, keep going. Only another 20K to the next stop. You're almost there. And I was like, I wanted to turn back around and get a bit of food. I was like, I was tired. I thought it was going to be any second now. So there was a fair bit of up and down hills. We got to the next stop, but we took our time and came there from there. But apart from that, I think you don't really need to carb load or anything like that for this kind of race, because it's not really pace. Just have a good feed the night before, have a good feed the morning of, and just take your time. It's not tracked. There's no time on it. Just go out and enjoy yourself, really.
Yeah, and that's it. And look, the biggest thing people can do, like it's called the hunger knock as well. Like people who are not eating when they're competing, like we're not competing. You know, we're just staying in. But even on some of those stay in the saddle kind of days, you just need to be conscious of eating. And if you are traveling with people, just make sure that you have a bag of jelly, something on your back in your cycling top, just to hand around every so often, just to keep the sugars topped up, just to keep morale up. Because sometimes you're not even hungry, but the taste of a Leo the Lion from Aldi there is just, oh, that was lovely. What was that? Right, by the way, you're about to go up a mountain. What? You know, like that's what got us around. Like when we were on the Mizen to Malin, we used to just do a lucky dip. It was like, I'll swap you 1 for 1. It was like, okay. And I'd never give them Leos. But
Leo was stored in a different pocket.
Yeah, 100%. But then you're like getting a jelly baby and you're swapping over a fruit pastel or something. It's like, oh, very nice. Oh, the purple one too. You know, like,
yeah.
So, and again, it's all about just little milestones to keep you going. Everyone's going to be in great form at the start. One thing you need to remember with things like this is there are going to be times where people are not going to be in good form.
Yes.
And as much as you want to encourage, sometimes you need to say, listen, do what you got to do. I'm going to climb up to the top of this and we'll see you whenever you get there. And I'll be waiting at the top. And then there's going to be those who are struggling, being like, don't wait for me. Go on.
Yeah. Watching Futura or something.
Forget about it. Just don't be worried about everyone. If you're gone as a group, you're there as a group. And that's one thing to kind of, for those who feel like they're holding people back, they don't care. They're actually kind of glad of the break and you're the excuse. So just remember that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that if you go as a group, it's important to stay as a group. I don't think anyone would let their friend after 50k be like, all right, yeah, I'll just finish the 180k myself and you just struggle through and sure, maybe I'll see you in Killarney in 12 hours. You know, like it is a group effort. It's a joint experience. Some will suffer more than others and that's okay, but they will suffer at other times too. And it's just looking after each other. And as long as you see it as a team effort, it's a better day out.
Yes.
And I'm talking about those who would be the show up for one day of cycling Sean Coffey types.
100%. I hope you keep your word in this one because I have not done much cycling for this at all. If anything, I've got the most needless ego ever for this. As in, I've done it once before. It'd be grand today, and I'm nowhere near prep for it.
Yeah, and look, we'll get around. We'll have sore bums, but it is for good causes. It is a great charity event. And we're privileged that, okay, a charity does well out of it, but we do really well out of it. You're cycling the Ring of Kerry, like it's infamous for its beauty. It's infamous for its scenery. It's infamous for its hills. Like, you know, it is a great opportunity for us, and we're taking full advantage. But yeah, just enjoy it. Stop for ice creams. Stop for water. You know, there's so much on the track that you don't need to carry the world with you as well. You don't need to be worried about having loads of food on you. Just have your isotonics. Just have your jellies. Maybe something a little bit more solid, a little bar or something.
To your point, it's the cycling jerseys is actually, and we'll get into kit in a minute before we wrap this episode up, but I had a bag and stuff on me last year, and I very rarely use stuff in the bag because I hadn't got a proper cycling jersey because go figure. It's just rocking up with me. Sawdogs' t-shirt. No. But like I probably won't use a bag this year. And you can have enough stuff in your back pocket stuff because to your point, there's so many stops and once you have your phone with you, sure everything's paid by phone and stuff these days. So it's great for that. And just speaking of gear and stuff, I suppose is there anything when you did Man in the Mizenhead or Mizen the Malin-Head, whatever it is, that you're like, I should have brought this with me as well, or this type of pump, or this connection, or because obviously you got your valves that you obviously need your pump, first aid kit, and I had a little patch of first aid kit maybe. Is there anything we're forgetting there?
Yeah, there's one little, and it is the best piece of plastic I ever bought, or well, I didn't have it twice when I got a puncture twice, and it's basically, you can get them in IKEA. I think they're about not in IKEA, in the Decathlon. I think they're about €2, but they're a little plastic tool.
Right.
Basically, if you get a puncture, you just sit it in onto the tire, and it pulls it off the rim. So rather than trying to stretch the tire and that kind of feeling I'm talking about when you're trying to get the tire back on, it basically just has a little lip that you can just hook it in under the tire and then run it around the ring so that the tire actually comes off. And then when you're putting it back on, likewise, you can use that to pry it back on rather than trying to use all your finger strength to try and get the tire back onto the wheel. So it's just one little bit of kit that I would find essential, so that you're not standing there for 20 minutes changing a tire. You can change a tire in 5 minutes. So it is a really good piece of kit. Pumps, just like I have a pump, like you can only carry one that's attached to your back or one you can put in your jersey. And for something that long, if you get a puncture early, you don't know if it's a problem with the tire or what it is. So might be handy to have two tubes with you. It is a long L race. But after that, for the majority of things, it should be okay. Once you've spare tubes, the little plastic rungs, some people carry the kind of Swiss Army knife of Allen keys. I'll have one of them. But if you're traveling as part of a pack, like you can kind of ration these things out. One thing I would recommend, though, for those who are not into the cycling too much, is chamois cream. So chamois cream is like a lubricant that you put into your sensitive areas that can stop you getting sores on your bum from the 12 hours. So as much as the padded shorts are helpful as well, the chamois cream is really good for stopping you getting saddle sores or preventative. We use it for Mizzen and yes, okay, my sit bones were sore, as in
the pressure of constantly on it. The
pressure was sore,
right?
But
no chafing.
It was no chafe. Yeah, so it's just something to consider for people who are going to do it. It's any time I'd be 3 hours in the bike, I'd be chamois cream on just to make sure. But yeah, no, it's just something to consider. It's better to have than to not. So it's just that little nugget of information. If you haven't got sunglasses, get sunglasses. And it's not for the sun, it's for the flies you're going to inevitably hit when you're coming through the national park and towards the evening. Even if they're clear, whatever you have to do, make sure you have some eye protection. The last thing you want to do is hit a big fly at 30 kilometers an hour and right into the eye. So that's the real reason I wear the sunglasses, but it does help to not be squinting, take a bit of the light intensity out, but stop the bugs and the dirt or a little stone or anything going into your eyes. So just have them couple of elements. I think that's it, Sean, and just have your golden nuggets, your cookies, whatever it is that's your, it'll get you out of a dark place.
Next stop. Yeah,
that's it. That's just because have that on board.
While you do have a lot of stops and stuff, there is times where, like, you are going through Kerry. It's not like going through like the Dublin city centre in a marathon. There's going to be a load of gaps, so there is literally just nothing, and it might be a long while before you see a house or something, let alone a shop or a garage or anything else. So like, you do need to have some things true, but you don't need a massive bag and 2 liters. Like I'd get an extra water cage and have that on as well. Because I think the last time at the stoppage they had isotonic drinks as well. So I had one isotonic and one regular water, because sometimes you just want to taste proper water. You don't want to have isotonics all the time. Even though I did that in the Backyard Ultra for some reason, I paid dearly for it. But like, to have one of each is great, and then just have the refills every time you stop off somewhere. Just refill it up and keep tipping away the water, especially if it's a warm day. And then I'd probably eat something small then every hour at least then throughout the journey, maybe an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, so
it's a long day.
Obviously not a race. I have it's kind of like a crossbar saddlebag that sits on, and my phone sits in it, and I can pack each side with it with jellies, and I put in the tablets for the water, so I get the isotonics in and different flavors and stuff. So again, you don't have to, but it is something to do. Put it on your bike, you can pack it in, you can eat what's in it, and when you do stop in a town, there's going to be a Centra, there's going to be a something. Go in and buy whatever you want and pack the bag again. You don't need to be wearing the backpack, you don't need to be doing anything mad like that. There will be a town, and the idea is eat before you're hungry. So, if you're getting somewhere and going, no, I'm all right, have a nibble of something. You don't want to get hungry. And that, if you've gotten hungry, it's too late. And that's when you're going to just start to not enjoy it. You're just going to start getting frustrated with the hill. You're going to start to get frustrated with each other and stuff. So the more full you can keep your belly and the hydrated you stay, you should have a nice day.
Brilliant. I can't think of anything else to add except, Eric, I'll see you down in Killarney.
Yeah, we'll get one. We We might do another live podcast after the cycle and we all have sore arses.
You might even have a pint this time.
Don't push it.
And on that bombshell, guys, thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. That's it for myself and Eric. Take care.
Bye.